I remember the smell of the carpet glue. When we opened our first office. Cheap. Industrial, clinging to the back of my throat. She laughed at how excited I was, a man celebrating a set of worn desks and borrowed computers. It'll be ours someday, she said. No one will ever take this from us. I believed her then. I was young. I thought loyalty was a law of nature. Yesterday, she proved me wrong. She sat behind my desk, in my chair, facing my skyline view, legs crossed, heels pointed toward the door like she was aiming a weapon. Her hair was pulled back too tight, a mask of confidence. Beside her stood a younger man, the kind who measures success by watches and women. I recognized him from the Christmas party 2 months earlier. He'd laughed too loudly at her jokes and looked at my reflection instead of my eyes when we spoke. We don't need you anymore, she said. Not a discussion, a verdict. The lover leaned against the window. Her lover. My co-founder. My wife of 9 years, business partner for 12. I didn't argue. I didn't rage or beg. I simply looked around the office I had built brick by brick, contacts, contracts, sweat, sleepless nights, and memorized her expression. The smirk wasn't arrogance. It was relief. She thought she had finally won. So I left, not with a storm behind me, but with a silence sharpened to a blade. I met her when we were both brilliant and broke. She had vision. I had execution. We started in a rented basement, no clients, no staff, just two fools with matching hunger. She handled sales and branding. I built the machinery behind it. Logistics, legal frameworks that could survive weather and war. She talked to everyone. I listened. She hated spreadsheets. I loved them. We celebrated our first million in a cafe. That only took cash. She leaned across the table and whispered, "We'll change the world." I thought she meant our world. Hers was more literal. There were signs, missed meetings, half closed doors, contracts I never saw. The lover's name started appearing on expense reports. Consultant, she called him. Short term. His invoices ballooned until they matched a senior director's salary. I raised it gently. She laughed like I was being emotional. I should have known then. But loyalty is a slow poison. It keeps you alive long enough to feel the blade. The betrayal itself wasn't a storm. It was a drip. A faucet turning, tightening, silencing everything I had built into a spreadsheet of reasons why I no longer belonged. One night I arrived late, stalled meetings, delayed traffic. Her office door was ajar. A whisper, a laugh, not business. Her voice drifted out, sugar-coated with promise. He'll step aside. He always does. I didn't push the door. I didn't rage or sob. I just stood there, absorbing the truth she had spoken without hesitation, not because she thought I wouldn't fight, but because she thought I couldn't. Something inside me crystallized. A clean fracture. Pain turned to precision. Preparation took 43 days. I did not move like a betrayed partner. I moved like an architect reclaiming his building. I met with lawyers she never remembered existed, ones who owed me favors from Contracts she never bothered to read. I pulled financial records, original documents, founding agreements, the fingerprints of our company's true ownership. She had always assumed I didn't keep backups. She didn't know I stored copies off-site the day we incorporated. I quietly locked down intellectual property rights. The patents she believed were joint decisions. I had drafted them personally. The fine print tied them to me alone. And more importantly, the relationships. The top 4 clients weren't hers. They were mine. Men and women who trusted spreadsheets more than champagne, who trusted silence more than speeches. I visited each of them face to face. I didn't slander her. I merely explained what she had become. They listened. They didn't nod. They didn't promise. They just asked one question: how soon? I told them, soon enough. Yesterday she gave my office to her lover. Last night I slept, not well, but with clarity. This morning our largest client called her directly. He rarely did business over the phone, always through email or through me. But I had asked him for this one favor, just 2 words. Her ringtone echoed across the marble lobby. I watched from a bench as she answered. Her smile was automatic. Then it collapsed. The words were simple, sharp, merciless. We're leaving. She dropped the phone. Her lover caught it midair like a man catching a falling child. His mouth opened and closed, fish out of water. Receptionists stared. Employees froze. The company's heartbeat stopped. The client didn't hang up right away. He waited long enough for her to feel the weight of those 2 words. Then his voice came again, colder, and so will the others. 5 minutes later the second largest client sent a formal termination notice. The third followed. Then the fourth, like dominoes. I never needed to step inside my old office again. The board called an emergency meeting. She tried to spin it as client volatility. Temporary, a misunderstanding. They didn't listen. The legal team walked in mid-speech and presented documents she had never seen. The patents, the ownership clauses, the silent rights of withdrawal. Her lover excused himself quietly. No loyalty, no promises. She looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw fear where her smirk used to be. You planned this, she whispered. No, I answered. You did. Because betrayal is not the knife someone stabs you with. It's the hand they place over yours to drive it deeper. I signed the papers, not to reclaim the company, but to dissolve it. A phoenix doesn't beg ashes for respect. I built a new firm before the ink dried. The fourth client invested immediately. Within 6 months we surpassed the revenue she had bragged about for a decade. I keep the original office chair in my new headquarters, a reminder, not a trophy. Sometimes people ask why I walked away so quietly that day. I tell them the truth, I don't raise my voice at storms. I wait until they drown themselves. And she did.